So with Christmas time coming ever closer, while by the time the video comes out it'll probably be winter break, I decided to look for something Christmassy to review. But not just anything Christmas related, a Christmas horror movie. I initially thought of doing one of those cheap Krampus films, but eventually something dawned on me. Like a memory pushed to the furthest corners of my brain, suppressing a horrible one. A film I'd only heard of but never seen. One whose horrifying poster I came across when I was probably 10 or so on Netflix, back when I had stuff like that, which definitely left an impression on me considering I'm reviewing it now. If you were born in the late 90s to early 2000s, you probably had a similar experience just in one of those Blockbuster video stores, and you might have seen a different cover depending on which store, as there are a couple of them. It was kind of like the film Age of Dinosaurs, an enticing poster and no real way of seeing it for those years left me curious to see how it was. And what do you know? It's a big old piece of shit in the best way. So let's just get into it, shall we? The film begins with a couple with a weird kink of having the woman do an unconvincing child's voice while the other talks about a psychopath. That's my headcanon at least. It makes just as much sense as the actual reality of a father reading to his quote-unquote daughter about a psychopath for a bedtime story. We then cut to the titular character being driven to where he'll be executed with the guard in the back smoking.
Ross, why don't you shut the hell up? Real fine.
That's his imitation of his voice? I mean, alright then. There's also another truck on the same road, and because it's so damn snowy, the two trucks get in a crash, spilling their fluids everywhere, and no, I'm not going to rephrase that.
Oh
What the fuck was that, and why was that so amazing? Some of the fluid gets on Jack and he transforms quite violently, and the driver just kind of stands there, watching. Oh, but the children's animation is what scares him. Okay. We cut to Sam, the sheriff that got Jack Frost in the situation in the first place, and a flashback of when Jack acted very normal.
Make up your goddamn mind. You want to see my license? Or do you want me to stay here?
And by that I mean needlessly escalating the situation. He gets arrested and gives a very patriotic speech, consisting of how we'll find him, no matter what. Oops, wrong film. But a very similar concept. They find the crime scene and are told the FBI are on the case, so they leave. Cut to the next day where they all have a nice family talk while the son Ryan gives Sam an oatmeal so sugary and diabetic it makes John Basso blush. He leaves as we meet more characters. Jill and Jake Menser, who is Jill's father. Jake is Jill's father, along with Sally Menser. Tommy and Billy, who seems like a nice fellow who sure won't bully the sheriff's son. Jake and Sally talk with their festive energy on the same life support as their bedrooms, flatlining. Although I do like this bit where Sam almost throws a snowball at a car jokingly, but stops. Meet Paul, who loves to deliver salt. That's about it for now, and actually forever, looking back on his character. Tommy talks to Jill about a snow girl, but she doesn't pay it any mind. She's much more interested in his woodworking capabilities anyways, if you get what I mean. And he's so distracted they're not even poking him to deliver salt. Come on, Tommy, it's his only defining character trait for the entire movie. Besides that and eating snowmen later after he finds the crime scene. Sam brings out his messy excuse of a breakfast and chooses between child neglect and meeting Blair Rivers, and unfortunately chooses the latter. Hope your life insurance is as good as his joke, as Old Man Harper is found to be dead, in one of the only unique shots in the entire film. These two sheriffs are named something. For some reason, it was slightly hard to find the names of all these characters. Having several actors with no patient being similar do not help. But I am sure about this character's name's Manners, who's quite the uncaring ass. An interesting choice, but okay. After Sam and him stop calling, Manners speaks to Agent Stone about Jack Frost, and he gets so worried, he makes Sam and Wiki pass a lie detector test by default. Oh yeah, this character Stone has involvement with the crash, as the chemicals that got on him were part of his company and is thus responsible. Cool, plot stuff. Want some more? Sucks because we don't get any for the next scene. After this doctor named Peters explains the crime scene with Old Man Harper and how something with great force must have done it, as well as a sheriff I can name, named Joe, talking to his character named Marley who are both in the sequel, which I'll only do if enough people demand it, we get a mostly pointless scene of Ryan just kind of doing his shtick. By shtick, I mean making more absolutely hideous abominations he calls food. You're gonna kill someone with that, you little fucker. That's why Plan B is a must-have. Ryan also seems to be about as educated in building a snowman as he is with choosing his haircuts, as he needs a mitten one to show him how it's done. As if snowmen aren't the spitting image of Christmas time. Billy from earlier decides it's best to bully him while his mother is inside. Something about her son being bullied just kinda gets her all wet. Oh wait, no, that's later. Here Billy just wants to go sledding with his friends and decides to be an ass to Jack Frost and decapitates him. Jesus!
Nope, it's Gary.
Anyways, he doesn't take that level of disrespect, and Jack Frost pushes Billy out for a real head-turner of a kill. See, I can do shitty jokes, except I won't be doing that for an entire movie, or a length of a movie. Everyone but Sally seems to be aware of how much of a shitbag he is, because she could not give even a single rat's ass about Billy's death. The wonders of parenting in full swing, folks.
He's usually not so short-tempered.
Yeah, something about a son's brutal decapitation does something to a man, don't you know? Oh wait, you sure you're his fucking mother, you dumbass?
I didn't do it. The snowman pushed him.
That's all he keeps saying. He must be terrified.
I know, Ryan. I know.
These are thrilling times.
Anyways, nobody believes Ryan about the killer snowman because, obviously, it's less than 30 minutes in. We can't have it be too quick. We see Anne making food because she'll be damned if some snobby kid being brutally murdered less than 10 feet away from the house will stop her from making her broth. It's all that matters to her in these trying times. Sam looks at Ryan's kindergarten art. Oh, no, it's actually Jack Frost's threats of violence and a weird visual choice. Okay then. He's clearly messed up by this killer and the recent murders, and I don't blame you, Sam. And that snowman? He's just asking for it. Bitch-ass $30 costume won't even move when he kills his victims besides a lame midden. Ugh, how disgraceful, Scott McDonald. I know you're an actor and can't do shit, but I expected you to do shit about this. And things aren't much better in the men's house, because as Jill, played by Shannon Elizabeth, yes, that Shannon Elizabeth, tries to leave, her dad doesn't want to, and they get in an argument.
Jesus, Dad, I loved Billy.
Do not be forsaking the Lord's name in my house, little girl!
Yeah, fun stuff. Jill eventually goes off to her boyfriend Tommy, I think that's their status, I don't know or really care, and her dad Jake leaves and hears talking about doesn't think of the snowman right in front of him because, well, really because he's gonna die in the scene, but yeah, and he does! Oh! Bet he didn't expect he would be the one with someone's wood down his throat. I'm sorry. And his poor belligerent wife is next. Awesome! Oh, bet she thought she was gonna get a mouthful of a different kind of festive present tonight. I'm not gonna stop. You're gonna have to find me, stop me at this point. I'm just going crazy. The three cops investigate with some classic over and underacting on both sides. Alright, let me actually find out who's who and put an end to this. So I got Sam. Alright. And the one on the right was previously talking to Marlo, who mentioned his name was Joe. Okay. And now this guy on the left? Or is it just my left and his right? Either way, from process of elimination and IMDb, his name seems to be Chris Pullman, I believe. Alright, I got all your names, now none of you better die on me. I'm incredibly, also very, extremely, also so very, and very surely invested in all three of you.
Don't want you to find Joe.
Wait, he's not Joe? Oh, screw it, I give up. You guys will forever be named Mike Oxlong and Hugh Janus, and will remain that way until I forget which is right now. Anyways, Sam goes into the police gazebo and...
Oh, call the FBI in Denver, too. Some asshole named Manners. Who are you?
I'm the asshole.
Okay, that was actually pretty funny. Good on you, movie. You're like the Octo Games, but unironically funny. The important thing is, Manners and Stone finally appear almost halfway in and do some investigating at the crime scene with Stone doing some vague sciencey shit, and he gets so excited, his name isn't the only thing rock hard. Eh? Rethinking my life choices might be a thing worth considering. Either way, the reason he was so excited was because of finding out about Jack Frost's powers that are so OP, who make the writers of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness blush. He can freeze and unfreeze whenever he wants to and can go into practically any form of liquid. But somehow Manners thinks setting a curfew can stop that. Water doesn't work that way, dude. We get some more stuff with Dr. Peters, who does a good job legitimizing the deaths, kinda going into detail about them and how strong Jack Frost has to be, making him somewhat work as a looming threat. Problem is, when you're supposed to be seeing the killings, you barely see him move, and it's so cheap looking, so it cancels it out. It also doesn't help that he looks nothing like that one poster anyone who saw can remember. Hence why I mentioned it in the intro. It just doesn't help the movie. Sam finds the sheriff handing out flyers with the curfew meets his father that's never been mentioned before, causing a heartfelt reaction from him as he confides in him, worrying he cannot do enough to save the small town that was nice enough to let him live here, with the two exchanging some somber words about how it's the same with parenting, and you have to adapt and evolve, and how I'll always love him like a son, and to read up on Scientology, and oh, it's just a priest with the label father. That's given to every priest. My bad. Disregard what I just said. Or don't. Joe Geppetto. Anyways, the furnace gets turned on, which totally won't come back for the totally epic and super duper cool finale, and Paul comes in after seeing the aftermath of the previous killings. Obviously not okay. I mean, he doesn't have his prize Saul with him. How can a man be okay without that? We get some more butting of heads with the FBI and small town sheriffs.
What the hell's eating him?
I bet you it ain't his girlfriend.
Yeah, it's something else actually. Though maybe his girlfriend should consider doing that. Well, Manners probably asked her right after this. Remember that. The officer, Chris, whichever one is Chris, leaves in his car and comes across a crossing guard. Aw, he's just dressing up. Chris, I don't think he needs another accessory, and oh, he's gone. And he's in the car somehow, ready to kill him. You know, it's never usually the boy getting ran through, it's usually a girl by a football team, but Jack Frost is all about equality, and by equality I mean equal chances of getting a stupid piece of shit pun made after your death. Anne leaves in, deciding to spice up the relationship. Sam sends the sheriff to get her all wet. Oh, no, he just came to provide a jump scare and help her out. Never mind. Also, I think this is Joe, not exactly sure, but he's nice, so... That's nice. The two leave and Jill and Tommy decide that considering the recent circumstances, it's best for Tommy to prove his mojo's killer performance, as Jill strips down for a pre-made bath in a stranger's house like all good folks do, but not before showing 3% more skin to Tommy. How naughty. Hey, that kinda rhymed. Anyways, Tommy gets killed after the film grinds to a halt for several minutes after showing nothing but these dipshits preparing.
What do you know? Armed and dangerous.
Was that a pun? What's the joke? Also, why were they even in the house? I guess it's revenge for her brother's death. Death in the family. Always a good way to test out the shaft work. See if the beaver likes enough to let him in. Only 3 inches though, which is totally average and good enough. What am I even saying at this point? I'm supposed to be reviewing a movie. He then goes after Jill and let me paint you a picture. So the psychopathic killer just found a naked victim in the bathtub and rises up with her awfully close to him and already screaming, with him pushing her back and forth, and the real kicker is that his carrot was in the water already near her vag. What do you think he's doing? He's raping her to death! Plus he puts his carrot on after and takes a smoke, something normally done after sex in horror movies. What the fuck, movie? Please don't ever do that again! This was a fun and funny movie, now you just kinda soured that. Back in the gazebo, Manners figures out that his men can't get in, as the snow is as isolated as Derek Savage is from reality.
You telling me that there's no way to get my men in here?
Duh, the budget isn't big enough for that, you doofus. Silly goose. Chris's car pulls up and so does Jack Frost as he chases after the boar back into the gazebo. Don't know why I started calling it that or ever called it that when it's so obviously just a police station, but might as well continue, and then never mention it as a gazebo ever again, or just mention it at all. They talk some more, and oh yeah, it takes over an hour for Sam to learn what we know in the opening, that the killer is Jack Frost. Never really think about that, huh? They all run and try blowing it up, but that does nothing, and as Stone, Manners, and Sam talk, Stone suggests that the soul is a chemical and that they were planning on storing it in case of a nuclear holocaust, which all sounds much more interesting than the movie itself. They get some others like Paul to blow dry Jack Frost to death. I mean, it's not salt, but... Hey, it is no salt. But it should be. That could help a lot. Actually, never mind. That's also dumb. Manners and Stone go down to the furnace, but see Jack Frost appear again. Oh no! When he said he wanted to be eaten out, he didn't mean this. He meant his non-existent girlfriend doing it, you bitch. You puta? Is that a curse word in Spanish? I think so, or maybe not. I don't know. The internet isn't always right and shit. He gets taken out of the picture until his next film, where he's played by a different actor. Stone gets penetrated in a different way than he'd hoped for. I'm joking, but he gets brutally murdered as he pukes Jack Frost out of his stomach and into Sam's car, where he puts his son's shitty oatmeal into him, which actually burns Jack Frost because he put fucking antifreeze in it. So not only was Ryan gonna make his dad a diabetic, he was also gonna straight up fucking kill him. Nice. Some more stuff happens and Jack Frost gets put in the antifreeze along with Ryan like the little shit deserves. Yeah, you get baptized in that, you bitch. Let the Lord decline your ass and send you straight to the pitbull's den where you belong. In the days saved with no possible sequel ever, I already spoiled that joke. We all know there's a sequel, and that was Jack Frost. Surprisingly fun, for the most part. It manages to have a steady sense of pacing throughout most of the runtime. It only really messes up during that scene where Tommy and Jill go to Sam's house, but the rest is still fun. Imagine if a big budget blockbuster couldn't do the same. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? Either way, it's a really stupid movie, but it knows that and it actually plays into it instead of getting a cynical viewpoint on it without realizing the irony of all their ads and then just straight up doing it. This is more charm than that and sets out to be a fun slasher and mostly succeeds. While the titular character is mind-bogglingly cheap and barely moves, he makes a couple funny-ish puns and jokes and has a couple great and creative kills that makes up for the cheap costume. To an extent. The characters are entertaining and memorable to an extent, and I enjoyed the main character. While Sam isn't some deep and complex character, he's funny and likable, which is helped by his actor Christopher Alport, who died in an unfortunate case of irony in an avalanche, which has got to be a terrible way to go. Really sucks, but at least he got to do this fun role, and hopefully the sequel also has him do a fun role, and was apparently on Mad Men where they dedicated an episode to him after his death. So, that's nice. The other actors do a fine or good job, and it helps because it's a not super eventful story, and again, if enough people want, maybe I'll do the sequel just in time before the year ends or right at the start of the new one. Who knows? Hope you enjoyed this review. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok where I am mostly active. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.